Inshallah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Shaikh Mualim Sajid. I was an imam from New York. I used to teach in a school there for Aimma, for people that are future imams, very advanced knowledge from our shuyukh, and my expertise is in the fiqh, but I teach other subjects, but the most of the demand is in the tajweed and the other subjects. So today I'm going to give a nice talk. This is very advanced knowledge from our shuyukh and from our scholars going all the way back to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is very strong knowledge. So if you guys listen to this knowledge, you'll increase your knowledge so much. I hope that you enjoy the talk. Jazakallah khair. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ayyuhal ikhwat al-kiram, honorable brothers and sisters, thanks for having me today. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you much goodness. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Salatu wassalam ala rasulil kareem. ربنا تقبل منا زدنا علما وحكمة وهدى أسأل الله أن يوفقنا لما يحب ويرضى وأن ينفعنا ما علمنا بما ينفعنا اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما أما بعد. قال المؤلف رحمه الله وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صلاة الليل مثنى ومثنى فإذا خشي أحدكم الصبح صلي ركعة واحد توتر له ما قد صلى متفق عليه. This hadith is found in the book Bulugh al-Maram min Adillat al-Ahkam by Hafiz Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. This is the book that people they study when they study the fiqh, and very advanced knowledge and detail about the different acts of worship. And this hadith is by Ibn Umar. Ibn Umar, you all know Umar radiallahu anhu, he was the second Khalifa after Abu Bakr. And this hadith is narrated by his son, Ibn. So they say Ibn Umar. And whenever you have Ibn Umar, Ibn Abbas, somebody that's a Sahabi and his father is a Sahabi, you say radiallahu anhuma. May Allah be pleased with the two. So normally speaking, you hear radiallahu anhu. But when you have Ibn Umar, Ibn Abbas, and the other Sahaba, whose father was also a Sahaba, you hear in the Hadith, the nomenclatures, they say, Radiallahu anhu. So may Allah be pleased with him and his father. Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, the Salatul lail, the qiyam lail, the prayer during the night, is mathna wa mathna, 2 by 2. Hatta asbaha sub, until a person they reach the ending point, and then they pray 1 rakat as the witr. So this is the hadith that is mentioned by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this hadith they say it's muttafaqun alayh, which means literally means they agreed upon it. And what that means is Imam Bukhari, the collector of hadith, he narrated this hadith, he rated this hadith as authentic. And likewise, Imam Muslim, he narrated this hadith, he authenticated this hadith as sahih. So when you find a hadith that's narrated by both of the scholars of hadith, they say muttafaqun alayh. That means they agreed upon it as being authentic. They agreed upon it as being sahih. And you find that that's what the people before us, what they did is they spread throughout the world to learn the ilm, to learn the knowledge, and spread the knowledge to us, and they bring it to us. So this hadith, it talks about the qiyam al-lail. That's what my talk is about today, the night prayer. And this hadith, it says the night prayer is 2 by 2 by 2 until the person, they reach the end. And not to pray more than 2 rakats. As you know, when we pray the Salat in the night, you don't pray 3 rakats or 4 rakats or 10 rakats, just 2 by 2 by 2, except for the last one, for the witr. So you can't pray just 1 rakat, you pray more, it's just 2 by 2. And until a person they want to end, then they stop and they pray the witr. So the hadith, it says that the qiyam al-lail is 2 by 2. That is, you pray 2 rakats, you do the taslim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And then after you finish praying the night, then you pray the witr at the end. Okay, now what happens is, when you look at, when it says the night prayer is 2, the qiyam al-lail is mathna wa mathna, what about the daytime salat? The salats in the daytime. So the view of the majority of ulama is, they go by this hadith, they say it's the same, that you pray 2 by 2. You can't pray something 5 rakats in the daytime. You can't pray something 1 rakat, and so on. That's the view of the majority of ulama. The 3 madhahib, that's what they say. If you pray the nafil salat in the daytime, they say, just like this hadith, it says the qiyam lail is 2 by 2, just like that. The salat in the daytime, the optional prayers in the daytime, are 2 by 2. However, some of the ulama, namely the Hanafi school, the people that follow Imam Abu Hanifa, what they do is sometimes they pray 4 continuously at once. Like for example, in Salat al-Dhuhr, they pray 4 before and 4 after. They pray all 4 rakats with just 1 taslim. And what they say this is converse to the hadith, because the hadith says praying the night is 2 by 2. That means the daytime would be different. That means the daytime is converse of that. That means not 2 by 2 in the daytime. So you see from this, you see our ulama in the past, they had their different ijtihad. And that's where you have the different madhahib. Like Abu Hanifa, he goes by the judgment that you pray 4 rakats continuously, and the other imam, they go by 2 rakats. And what we do is we follow our predecessors going back. And namely the 4 madhahib, everybody in the world today, they follow one of the 4 madhahib. So they continue on that pathway where they continue on their ilm from our shuyukh, the ulama going back to the imams and going back to the sahaba radiallahu anhum, and going back to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Afdalu salat ba'da farida, salatul lail, akhraju Muslim." He said the most virtuous salat after the obligatory salat is the salat in the nighttime. So it is very virtuous to pray in the nighttime, but to pray the salats in the nighttime, that is the most virtuous salat after the obligatory salats. Obviously the obligatory salats are more virtuous because you bring something that's obligatory, so you get more reward for the obligatory. But when you look at the optional salat, the nighttime is the best salat to pray in the nighttime. And Allah says in the ayah in the Quran, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ. So this is ayah Surah Al-Isra, that means in the night, do the tahajjud salat, which is nafila, which is optional for you. So praying the nighttime prayer, the qiyam al-layl, it's not obligatory, it's optional. And what they do is they call that, sometimes they call that salatul tahajjud. Tahajjud is the word for it. Now what's interesting is I heard this term all my life, but I didn't realize what it means when you say tahajjud. The root word for tahajjud is from jihad, which means to struggle, to make an effort. Because what happens is in the nighttime, a person, they're in sleep, they want to sleep, they want to rest, they don't want to wake up. And then what they do is they make that deep struggle to get up and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the middle of the night. So that's what they call it. That's why they call it tahajjud, salatul tahajjud. Because the person can make that effort. A person, they're in deep sleep, they want to rest, and then they get up and they make wudu, and then they pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the middle of the night. And many of the ulama, they say, according to other hadith, the best time to pray is the last third of the night, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He comes down closer, and He said, who calls on me so I may answer their du'as. So they say it's the Salatul Tahajjud is like in the last 1/3 of the night, where Allah comes, and that's a good time to make the dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now let me tell you a story that's interesting. Ibn Umar, the person that narrated this hadith, the son of Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar, what happened is he had a dream. He had a vision. What happened is he was going, in the vision, he was going close to a fire. And then he heard a voice going close to the fire. And he heard a voice, Lam Tarai, Lam Tarai. And then again he was going close to the fire and he heard the voice, it said to him, Lam Tarai, when he was going near the fire. So Ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar, he saw this dream and it was like a nightmare for him. He said, what's going on with this dream? I'm going near this fire and I hear this voice from an angel or from somebody saying, Lam Tarai, means that Lam Tarai means that you don't shepherd. Ra'i, well, in Arabic, it refers to somebody that's a shepherd, where they have sheep, and what they do is they take care of the sheep to raise them up and make sure that they don't run away or something bad happens to them. And so Ibn Umar, he heard that voice, Lam Tarai, and he was going close to the fire. So Ibn Umar, he was very scared, and he told his sister Hafsa, who was the wife of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then Hafsa asked Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told him, my brother had this dream. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Na'ma rajul Abdullah walau kana yakumul lail. That means what an excellent a servant is Abdullah, if only he prayed during the night. So that's the answer that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told. Hafsa told Ibn Umar about the dream that he had. That he was going close to the fire and he heard that whistle because he didn't pray during the nighttime. He didn't do the night prayer. So after Ibn Umar, he heard that from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would always pray during the nighttime. He would never leave off the night prayer. And also he would pray what's called, during the daytime as well, what's called the Kaylula. If anybody lived overseas, what people they do over here, people they work, and then when they get done with work, they go home and rest. But overseas, the time for the middle of the day is very, very hot. So people, what they do is they work until Dhuhr time, then go home and go to sleep, and they stay to sleep, and then get up at Asr time, and then go back to work. So that time between Dhuhr and Asr, they call that Kaylula. That's the time where people, they sleep in the middle of the day. Like over here in Texas, it gets so hot in the middle of the day. So people back then, they don't have the air conditioning and things like that, so they just sleep during that time. So Ibn Umar, what he used to do is he used to even get up during the Kaylula, during the time that he would sleep between Dhuhr and Asr, and pray the Salat in the middle of time, similar to what he used to do in the nighttime. Now, the other thing is what happened is people, they can interpret the dreams. One of the things that Prophet Muhammad said, if a person, they're able to interpret dreams, that's 1/46 of the prophethood. 1 out of 46. Sitta wa arba'un. Why? Sitta wa arba'una in nubuwah. That's what Prophet Muhammad said. If a person, if they hear the dreams and they can tell the meaning of the dreams, that's 1/46 of prophethood. So people, they mean, where does this number come from, 46? And if you look at it, if you look at the life of Prophet Muhammad, he became a prophet at 40 years old, and he was 13 years in Mecca and 10 years in Medina. 13 years in Mecca, 10 years in Medina, that makes it 23. And if you take 6 months at a time, half a year at a time, that becomes 46. So that's where that number comes from, what the ulama they say. So over here, Prophet Muhammad he gave that interpretation of the dream to Ibn Umar, and he prayed after that. So what happens is, if a person, they want to be saved from the hellfire, they should pray the qiyam lail. They should pray the night prayer. Okay, Charlie. All right, so the last thing I want to mention is very interesting. I mentioned this over here. This is good knowledge, so I hope that your brothers listen to it, and I hope that it will be beneficial for you. I'm glad that you listened to me. So what happens is, during Ramadan, people, they pray what's called the Tarawih. And in fact, Tarawih is the qiyam lail, is the night prayer. And Prophet Muhammad what he used to do, he used to pray, the first couple of days he used to pray in the Jamaat with the whole congregation. And then after that time, the people, they were waiting for Prophet Muhammad after Isha to pray in congregation, but he didn't come, and they waited all the way till Fajr time. And then finally Prophet Muhammad came at Fajr time, and they asked Prophet Muhammad, why didn't you come and lead us in the Tarawih? He said, I was afraid that the people will take it as something that's obligatory to pray the Tarawih. So that's why I left it. I didn't want people to think that it's obligatory. So he did it for a few days. Some of the ulama, they say 3 days. Some people, they say more or less. And then after that, he left the Tarawih in the Jamaat. And then afterwards, after the time of Prophet Muhammad, Abu Bakr also didn't pray Tarawih in Jamaat. And then in the time of Umar, he saw many people praying in the masjid in separate congregations. So he said it's better for the people to pray together. So he had the people pray together, and they prayed the Salat to Tarawih in the congregation. Now the question comes up, how many rakats do you pray Salat to Tarawih? And there's a difference, people say different things, so let me tell you the answer for that. But what happens is the Tarawih is the qiyam lail, so a person, in fact, they can pray any number of rakats that they like. But people, what they want to do is they want to follow the sunnah, so they go by the different narrations. One of them is that Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he used to pray 8 rakats qiyam lail on a daily basis at home. And the narration from his wife Aisha, she would say Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always used to pray 8 rakats. So you find some places in the Tarawih they pray 8 rakats, following the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where he always used to pray 8 rakats of the qiyam lail. But then after, when Umar radiallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, when he started the congregation back up with the Tarawih, he enjoined on them to pray 20 rakats, not the 20 rakats. So that's what you find in many places, they pray 20 rakats. And it's appropriate to follow Umar because Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, Taqul sunnati wa sunnati khulafa'i rashidin mahdiyin min ba'di. Means follow my sunnah and follow the sunnah, the tradition of the Khulafa Rashidin, that means the righteous caliphs after me. So they used to pray 20 rakats in the time of Umar. But actually what happened is the other people, they prayed more than the 20 rakats in Medina and other places, not just the 20 rakats. Because what happened is Umar radiallahu anhu was in Mecca, and what he would do is the 20 rakats, after every 4 rakats, there would be a break. That's where the word Tarawih comes from. It comes from the word istiraha, which means break. So 4 rakats a person, they would pray and then take a break, and then pray 4 rakats and take a break. So when they were praying in Mecca, after every 4 rakats, what people they would do is they would go around the Kaaba. They would do the tawaf around the Kaaba, and they would pray the Salat tawaf. They would go around the Kaaba and pray 2 more rakats afterwards during the break. So what happened is they prayed 20 rakats, but then in addition to that, they did, during each break, which was 4 breaks, they would do a tawaf and they would pray extra 2 rakats, the Salat tawaf. So what people they used to do in other cities like Medina, they would do the 20 rakats, but then pray an extra 2 for the tawaf that they did, and also the extra 2 for the 2 rakats of tawaf. So what they would have altogether, they would pray 36 rakats. 36 rakats in other cities, going by the sunnah of Umar radiallahu anhu. But what happens, the ulama, they say, many of the ulama, they say the number is not fixed, so a person, they can pray any number they like. So today's day and age, what you find in Mecca, what they do is they pray 20 rakats in the beginning of the night, and during the last 10 nights and other nights, they pray the 10 rakats in the last part of the night. So that's how they do it in Mecca these days. Okay, Jazakallah khair. I'm glad that you listened to my talk. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. I hope that you found it beneficial. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase your knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Is there any questions before I finish up? Okay, thanks for listening to my talk. I hope that everything was understandable. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept